Hi there. Welcome again to another show of Your Money in Real Estate. My name is Mark Vasilius, and today we're going to be talking about commercial real estate investing. We've talked about a lot of different things on this show, but not only are we going to talk about commercial investing, holy moly, I've got a super heavy book here that is specifically designed for commercial real estate investing. Its value is well over $200 range. We're going to, as we have in most shows, give these away to some really good questions. So for anyone that calls in and has some questions for my guest, which I'm going to get to in a second, you get a book. And I'm telling you, this book is heavy and it's got everything you need for commercial investing. So let's get to my guest, Claude Boiron, or I could go Claude Boiron and butcher your name as a typical Ontario person.
That's okay.
So I'll do the regular English version. Claude, thanks. Welcome to the show.
Of course, my pleasure.
As I was saying here, it looks like you've put a lot of work and effort into this, and you must love real estate for you to put this amount of time and effort into this.
Well, you know what? It's interesting. I grew up in a real estate family.
Okay.
I'm the oldest of 6, and we
Typical French family, right?
Yeah,
Lots of kids.
Yeah, French from France. In fact, I can handle deals in French as well, as I often do.
Excellent.
So we all grew up.
How about this? How about if anyone can speak French, in a question in French, we'll give the book away to that.
Sure, we've got 2 books. Why not?
We're a bilingual country.
Absolutely.
All right.
I'd love to do that.
Okay, so keep going. I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
that's fine. So we all grew up hearing about deals that our father was working on around the dinner table, and I'd always said as soon as I could talk, people said, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" I said, "Well, I want to make money, but I want to do that through real estate."
Sure.
And so, sure enough, I went to university, and my father, who's now my partner, said to me, "You have to come and learn, or I'm hanging up the spurs."
Right.
So I actually dropped out of university. And
Wow.
maybe I read some of those books that say most self-made millionaires drop out of university. But I joined him as he would call it, as an apprentice.
Okay.
He thought I should pay him to learn originally. He's from the old school.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I convinced him otherwise.
Yeah.
And I've been learning ever since. It's been more than a decade.
Wow,
we
good
started
for you.
out for a few years where I was working
But you don't
for
look
him.
over 30. Like, how the heck did you drop out of school, do all these things,
just
move from
slightly.
France, whatever?
Just slightly over 30. I was actually born here, but both of my parents are from France.
Oh, so you're born in Canada.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
absolutely.
All right.
So I started learning from him, and what's really interesting about what we do is we are primarily commercial realtors.
Okay.
I've transitioned in the last few years into about 50% residential, 50% commercial,
Okay.
which is quite unusual. But in my formative years, I was solely commercial. And it's very interesting for our clients because we're landlords, we're investors,
Sure.
we've been buyers, we've been sellers. We know what it's like to have a property empty and to think, when I wake up tomorrow, how do I pay the mortgage?
Yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah, that's right.
So I have some choice words for realtors or even lay people who say, "Oh, it's okay, buy this and it's vacant and you'll just lease it out."
For sure.
That can happen, of course, but you have to really know what product you're buying and know how you're going to lease it out. Have a good plan for that.
Yeah. How did you, this is quite a tome, if I can use that word.
Yeah.
That looks like a couple years worth of work, but what sort of motivated you to actually write a book on commercial real estate? Because there's a lot of books on buying, multi-res and
Sure.
things like that. You really nailed it and talked specifically commercial and in Canada.
Yes.
What got that going?
Well, a few different turns of events. My publisher, I'll just tell you this quickly. My publisher always says, most people, they'll write 1 or 2 or 3 books, and then they'll go to this massive, Bible, if you'll call it, of their specialization or their industry. And he says, you guys got it all wrong. You started with the hardest one, and everything will be easy from now on if you want to write. But what happened was my partner and I, my father, we would write emails to realtors, clients of ours, be they buyers or sellers.
Yeah.
And we would explain things. For example, we put together an offer one day, and we'd included what's a VTB, a vendor take-back mortgage. And the listing agent called us up and said, "What's a VTB?" We said, "Okay, maybe this is one of those residential agents who's dabbling in commercial."
Yeah, sure.
But we said, we'll give it a try. We have to make the deal happen for our client. So we wrote him a nice email, half a page, and we were really happy with how it came out. So my father, being old school, he printed it out and he put it in a file.
Got it.
Week later, 2 weeks later, same thing happens with something else. Believe it or not, one day he grabbed that file and he says, we've got 20 pages of anecdotes and explanations that are really well written. We could write a book.
Right.
Well, sure enough, we spent almost 2 years writing a book. he brought an enormous amount of experience to it.
Excellent.
I was a little younger, and I, contributed where I could.
I just want to say that I think we've spurred some interest. We have Nick on the line from Maple. Hi, Nick. Welcome to the show. What's your question for Claude?
Oh, thanks. I was just wondering where he sees capitalizations rate go in the near future, since they've been so low, record low. Where he sees maybe industrial malls, office buildings, and general retail going in say the next year to 2 years.
That's a great question, Claude. You want to?
This is a very good question, and I won't. I won't spend too much time explaining capitalization rates because I'm sure you've touched on it. But cap rates, as we abbreviate it, they have been very low, historically low. I think a lot of what's going to happen is if the money that is in Canada and that keeps coming into Canada continues to go into income-producing properties, those cap rates are going to stay pretty low. As long as there's employment and there are jobs, people are going to be employed in office buildings, in industrial malls, and there's going to be a demand. If tenants are paying their rent on time, if quality tenants are signing up with landlords, we're going to see those cap rates stay pretty low. That's my opinion, and we'll see what happens.
Thanks for the call, Nick. Now, stay on the line there, and we can get your number, and you might win yourself a book. I do want to talk a little bit more about that, just to embellish a bit.
Sure.
I mean, there's a lot of talk. The cap rates record low. I mean, I've heard some guys doing deals at 3.5.
Absolutely.
We covered cap rates. The good news is we covered cap rates on last week's show.
Excellent.
So people who are watching earlier kind of understand that values, how the cost, NOIs, different things like that. So there's a lot of things driving it, but interest rates are, we need to watch the interest rate. But I think that with what's happening in the stock market, I always like to bring in the alternative side, which is, the stock market is so unpredictable, and yet historically, real estate is a really slow moving, trending thing that people feel safer, and the demand for income, the demand for commercial type properties where, I can park my money here and leave it. It's just driving those flipping cap rates down, and you're right. There's such a demand for income now from real estate. That is what's keeping the cap rates.
And what's really interesting is how the REITs in the last decade, by gobbling up all the big properties, they've come right down into $5, $4, $3 million properties, which used to be the playing ground of small to medium-sized investors.
There's nothing less.
Exactly. We've just been squished from both sides. So there's a huge demand.
Yeah. So let's get into a little bit more about, you obviously put the book together, and I guess it's you and your dad?
My father and I wrote this book together. We were very fortunate. The first publisher's desk it landed on wasn't ready for it. And the second one was John Wiley & Sons, and it just so happened that they were looking to get a good flagship real estate book for their trade division.
Excellent.
And that's what they're known for, that's their strength. So they picked it up, and this is actually the revised and updated, the second edition. We went through the first stock, and we had to update it with HST versus GST, little things like that. Yeah. And I've been fortunate enough with my relationship with Wiley to write a second book, this one on my own. And it's actually a guide for realtors.
Is that out now, or?
It's coming out in March 2013, and it is it really is a guide for realtors. I think the working title is something along the lines of the Canadian Real Estate Agent's Essential Business Guide.
Excellent.
And what I always like to tell people when I'm talking to them about this is, even though it's marketed and geared towards realtors, it's really written in a way where the average person, a lay person, a consumer, can pick it up and go, let's peel the curtain back on what goes on and understand why are realtors a good idea in some situations and in a few situations maybe not a great idea.
Yeah.
How do you select them? Yeah. What should they be doing? What questions should they be asking? What should you ask of them?
Yeah.
So I've been very fortunate to be able to do that.
And I guess, in working with, obviously within the real estate industry, you've got a good handle versus what you're taught in school. I mean, I'm an agent as well.
Yes.
And I wrote my exams, and then I'm out there into the world, and there isn't a lot of what I was taught about the day-to-day working of what an agent does. I mean, there's a real dichotomy as to what it is, but I think the good ones, they're able to bring it all together.
That's interesting, Mark. I like to say that we go to real estate school, as we have to in Ontario here, or anywhere in Canada, to learn how not to get sued and how to more or less fill out a contract.
Yes.
And then we're kicked out into the world. And I don't want to, badmouth any organization very much, but it's challenging to provide quality information to so many people. The Toronto Real Estate Board being as large as it is, it's a huge demand, and from other outlying real estate boards. I think that the most important thing is for realtors to really take their job seriously. That's the main point that I make in this new book.
Yep.
And you have to educate yourself.
Constantly, though.
Very much so. Even though there are continuing education credits, just like many professional designations require,
Yep.
I think it's important to take it seriously. Go, look, I'm doing this deal. I might have slipped a little bit. I recovered, but that I'm never going to let happen again. And really analyze what happened, how you can protect your clients from that kind of thing in the future.
Does this book deal with the commercial real estate one? Can it address anyone, or is it meaning that can agents read it? Can regular investors read it?
Sure.
Or is it like is it a good for both? Or?
Well, the subtitle, the title is so long, I have to look at the book. The
Yeah, I know,
subtitle is
same
The
here.
Complete Reference for Real Estate Investors and Professionals.
Okay.
I really do think it gives knowledge that's useful for anybody who's even interested in real estate. These days, people are so passionate about real estate. I think I mentioned to you, we leverage this book and we actually use it as the course book for a course that we teach at U of T on commercial real estate investing.
Excellent.
There's a lot of demand for this type of information. The boom in real estate in Canada and just the hunger that the average person has to understand it, and how do I make $200,000 of appreciation on my house in 6-7 years, have them start thinking, hey, all that money that I'm traditionally told to put in the stock market, put into something safe,
right?
Maybe I should be shifting it. I've been burned a few times in the stock market. My house has done really well. Maybe I should be looking to put some money into an investment property.
Yeah.
And that's the type of people we have coming to us as students at U of T.
Now, I wanted to address that a little bit where obviously, a lot of our clients, they do invest in stocks,
Sure.
they look at alternative investing, private placements, different things like that. And within the stock market, they say diversify your portfolio.
Right.
We don't really address a lot of commercial investing or even the development side because, first of all, it's where the big boys play,
Sure.
but it's also where the big money is.
Absolutely.
in terms of returns, in terms of risk.
Sure.
I don't want to negate the fact that there's a lot of risk involved, but I think commercial investing is a good way to look at diversifying your real estate portfolio, because a lot of guys say, oh no, I only do multi-res.
Right.
And then, if certain things change in the economy, for whatever reason, your res is going to drop. Commercial or industrial, there's different angles to it, diversify, right?
I fully agree. One of the types of real estate product that I recommend strongly to first-time or second-time commercial real estate investors is a storefront with a few apartments. It gives you some great diversity, not only across number of tenants, but across the type of real estate.
Sure.
You have 2 stores with 4 or 5 apartments above it. You have an empty store, it hurts, but it won't sink you.
Right.
You have 2 empty apartments, it hurts, but it won't sink you.
Right.
And it's very rare that you're going to have everything become vacant.
Right. Now, so in your book, do you address how to build your portfolio, or do you really deal with the nuts and bolts of commercial leases, the differences between residential and commercial, which we're going to get to later?
Sure.
But how does a book broken down?
We don't advise people on the big picture of their investments.
Okay.
What we do is we really do break down the different types of real estate products. So we cover residential, multi-residential, office, retail, land, etc. You were talking about the big dollars in land development,
Sure.
and they can be big dollars, but like you said, they can be huge risks.
Mm-hmm.
And in the book, because it's geared towards a small to medium-sized investor,
Yep.
I'd say somebody who's shopping for anything under $10 million at a time.
Yep.
We are telling them stay away from land. Unless you have a partner, unless you have a mentor and advisor who can really hold your hand,
Yeah.
and if you start slipping down those stairs, can really catch you by the back of your suit and
good point.
hold you up. It's a type of property that just eats money.
Claude, I appreciate that. We're going to get back with Claude and commercial real estate investing in 2 minutes. For anyone for calls, you can give us a call. You're going to get a book. Stay tuned. Be right back. Good work on that. Hi there, welcome back to Your Money in Real Estate. We are talking commercial real estate with Claude or Claude, depending on the Ontario or Quebec French version, I
We
want to say.
still haven't gotten a French-speaking caller.
That's true.
Yeah.
We're looking for a French-speaking caller.